Professional sports were never really built on friendship or loyalty. At the highest level, it's a ruthless environment where money drives everything and emotions rarely matter for long. In that world, one rule always holds true: your value is determined by what you bring to the market. Either you're the engine that creates revenue, or you're simply riding along, depending on that engine to keep moving forward. For almost 25 years, the WNBA operated like a league full of passengers. Teams were part of a billion-dollar sports ecosystem but still struggled financially, relying heavily on the NBA's backing to stay afloat. During that time, many longtime players developed a strong sense of status around their roles in the league. They viewed themselves as major figures in women's basketball and important voices within the sport. Then Caitlin Clark arrived. She stepped onto the court and immediately began breaking viewership records. The attention she brought to the sport happened incredibly fast, and the financial impact followed right behind it. But instead of universal celebration, the reaction around the league quickly became complicated. Rather than simply embracing the surge of interest, debates about power, control, and credit began to surface. What's happening now goes far beyond a normal labor disagreement. The WNBA Players Association has raised the possibility of a major standoff ahead of the 2026 season. Their demands reportedly include larger guaranteed contracts, housing support, and a significantly larger percentage of league revenue. From the outside, it looks like a tense negotiation between players and ownership. Some veteran leaders believe the growing fan base supports the union's position, and that the threat of a strike gives them strong leverage. But that strategy may not be playing out the way they expected. And interestingly, the player at the center of the entire conversation, Caitlin Clark, isn't even engaging in the political battle directly. Instead, she seems to be operating on an entirely different level. At Team USA's training camp, Clark may have made one of the smartest moves of her young career. Without arguing online or responding to critics, she simply showed the world what she represents for the sport. In many ways, the moment highlighted a reality that's hard to ignore. The league benefits enormously from her presence, while her career possibilities extend far beyond any single league. The footage coming out of the international training camp isn't just routine practice clips. It also sends a powerful message about where the sport is headed and what the future of women's basketball could look like. The atmosphere there feels very different from the tension surrounding the league's labor discussions. At the global level, the focus is on performance, teamwork, and competing at the highest possible standard. And through it all, Caitlin Clark appears completely comfortable in that environment. Interviewed.
Here, let's see them cook up for a little bit. Chelsea, no look, Caitlin. Side dribble. Main thing is they're enjoying themselves, man. I love it. Okay, Angel to Stu, easy work. It seems like Caitlin is hanging with Kelsey a lot. Paige always yelling. Paige yelling about anything these days.
There's no visible tension in those moments. No sense of corporate drama hanging over the gym. Instead, you see Caitlin Clark alongside players like Breanna Stewart and a group of rising American stars, laughing, competing, and shouting USA together. They're athletes at the peak of their careers, playing the game they love at the highest level. Now compare that atmosphere with the increasingly intense discussion surrounding the WNBA's labor negotiations. Some union leaders have tried to frame the situation as a struggle between players and powerful ownership groups. Media coverage has often focused on frustration, disagreement, and the possibility of a work stoppage. The environment has become so tense that even some figures within the players' leadership have reportedly voiced concerns about communication and transparency. Against that backdrop, Clark's appearance with Team USA sends a completely different signal. She steps onto the court smiling, energized, and clearly enjoying the moment. For sponsors, television networks, and team owners watching from the outside, that contrast stands out. Clark presents herself as a reliable star, someone who attracts attention without surrounding drama. While the broader league conversation can feel chaotic at times, she continues to look like a global sports figure who simply wants to compete and grow the game. Some observers believe the union expected Clark's popularity to strengthen their position in negotiations, but instead of becoming a central figure in the dispute, she has shifted the conversation by stepping onto the international stage. To understand why that matters, it helps to think about sports through a business lens. In major negotiations, leverage depends on real market value. If one side threatens to walk away, the other side has to believe that the threat carries real consequences. Many veteran players believed their own star power would keep audiences engaged even without Clark. To test that idea, a separate 3-on-3 competition was launched, intended to showcase well-known players and prove the sport's broader appeal. The results didn't match expectations. Viewership numbers reportedly struggled once the event started, and many fans quickly noticed that Clark wasn't part of the lineup. Television executives who hoped the excitement surrounding her rookie season would translate across projects suddenly had serious concerns. Things became even more complicated when some players suffered injuries during exhibition games, connected to the event, raising questions about the risks involved. In the end, the market delivered a clear message. Without Caitlin Clark, the level of national attention simply wasn't the same. Now consider what happens when she's actually on the floor. Interview.
Mind you, look at the teams while y'all looking too. Look, Angel knocking them down, dog. I know it's quick. Caitlin with the game winner. Caitlin with the game winner, dog. Got the stun on him. Come on.
Interview 537 to 554. Caitlin Clark knocks down the game-winning shot. Moments like that explain why television networks invest massive amounts of money in sports broadcasting. They create unforgettable highlights, attract millions of viewers, and drive the entire entertainment machine of professional sports. League owners, executives, and partners from NBA Commissioner Adam Silver to WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, and team owners like Joe Tsai and Matt Ishbia, are constantly evaluating the business side of these moments. When a clip of Clark hitting a clutch shot spreads instantly across the internet, they're not just seeing a great play. They're seeing engagement, sponsorship opportunities, and global market potential. That's the type of star power that helps justify multi-billion-dollar media deals. If the Players Association ultimately follows through on the possibility of a strike, ownership groups will have to weigh the consequences carefully. But they're also aware that certain players hold extraordinary influence in the modern sports economy. And right now, Caitlin Clark is positioned in a way that protects her regardless of how the negotiations unfold. If a season were delayed or canceled, many players would face immediate financial challenges. Salaries would disappear, and the stability of the league would come into question. Clark, however, has already built a massive audience and a powerful brand that extends far beyond a single competition. In a worst-case scenario for the league, she could still play internationally, participate in global tournaments, and draw huge television audiences wherever she goes. That reality highlights how complicated the current situation has become. Some critics argue the union is taking a major risk by escalating the conflict with ownership, especially when the league still has many unsigned players waiting for contracts. Others believe the standoff reflects deeper tensions between longtime veterans and a new generation of stars who are transforming the sport. For years, the established players defined the culture of the league. They set expectations for rookies, controlled locker room dynamics, and shaped the public conversation about women's basketball. Then Clark arrived from Iowa and changed the scale of the entire conversation. Her game shattered attendance and viewership records, new fans poured into the sport, and major brands like Nike and Gatorade rushed to partner with her. That kind of sudden shift can create complicated emotions within any professional environment. As Clark prepares for her second season healthy, experienced, and even more comfortable at the pro level, the stakes around the league continue to rise. Some observers believe the labor conflict could slow the momentum the sport has recently gained. But Clark's response hasn't been confrontation. Instead, she has answered everything with performance and professionalism. Interview 8.
I think, this is every kid's dream. I think I wrote it down when I was in like 3rd grade. So just excited about this opportunity. And I remember Kara Callan talking to us, like when me and Paige, and I know AB isn't here, but even I played with Ryan on the U19 team. Like on the junior national teams, there's only going to be like a couple of you that end up making it to make a senior debut. So whether that's the World Cup, whether the World Cup qualifier, whether that's, the Olympics, every single part of it and part of the journey is really special. So I know we're a ways away even from the World Cup and obviously a ways away from the Olympics, but this is still really exciting.
Listen carefully to what she says there. Clark describes the opportunity as something every young athlete dreams about. She shows respect for the stage she's on, acknowledges the path that brought her there, and speaks with humility about representing her country. That tone matters. While critics sometimes try to frame her as the center of controversy, Clark consistently presents herself as a focused competitor who simply wants to play the game at the highest level. She doesn't trade insults online or engage in public arguments. Instead, she steps in front of international cameras and carries herself like a professional ambassador for the sport. By returning to the global stage with Team USA, She has effectively stepped outside the internal conflict surrounding the WNBA. The FIBA qualifiers are major international events watched by millions of fans around the world. Clark will be competing alongside some of the best players on the planet, far removed from the political tensions surrounding the league. Meanwhile, WNBA leadership and ownership groups are watching everything closely. They understand the importance of the moment and the enormous financial potential tied to the league's rising popularity.